Hello, welcome back to the 26 YouTube channel. Today we're going to be talking about Moon Knight and who is Moon Knight. Moon Knight, I'm sure you know by now, is having his very own Disney Plus show in March 30th, I believe. And I'm going to go over some of the things you might want to know before you go into watching the series. Moon Knight was first sprung into the frame of Marvel Comics in 1975 in the Werewolf by Night comic issue. Now, I would just like to say quickly before we go into any details on the character, I am half clued up on the character. I've read some of the most recent comics of Moon Knight. I've read the one in 2016, and I'm currently reading the 2021 run from last year. I do not know much of the character from before that time because obviously first comic came out in 1975, as I just said, and I was born in 2003, so it's quite hard to go back and read those because the style of comics back then was very different. Moon Knight is a character that suffers with split personality disorder and goes by many different alter egos. I'm going to go through some of those alter egos. I'm going to go through the ones that I think you need to know before watching the Disney Plus show, because he does have quite a lot in the comics. Some aren't used much, but there's the main ones you need to know, and most Moon Knight fans will know. I will go through. So first of all, we have Mark Spector. I imagine Mark Spector will be the main character in the show because he is in the comics. He's a past soldier, he's a badass. We haven't seen much of him in the trailers, or any of him in the trailers so far for the Moon Knight Disney Plus series. All we've seen is obviously him pick up the phone and then you hear somebody say, "Mark, I thought you were dead." And then he's like, "Why did you call me Mark?" Next up, we have Stephen Grant. Now, Stephen Grant is the person we've been seeing a lot of in the Moon Knight trailers so far. He's a bit of a pencil pusher, a bit of a nerd. He's a billionaire. He's really rich. Basically, he's quite the opposite of Mark Spector. Now, it may be making you think that Stephen Grant's going to be the main character of the show, but I think Stephen Grant will only be the main character for the first 2, maybe 3 episodes. I think it'll be the first 2 episodes, and then I think he's going to slowly discover, and Mark's going to slowly start taking over, and then Mark will be the main character of the show. Now, his next alter ego is a bit weird, or a bit different. His next one is Jake Lockley. Now, Jake Lockley is just everyday taxi cab driver, lower to middle working class man. Then we have one of my favourite alter egos of his characters, or if not my favourite, which is Mr. Knight. Mr. Knight is basically this guy, white, suited up. He's a consultant, very smart. I like to see him whenever I'm reading the comics as like a Sherlock Holmes kind of character. He's got like the moon symbol on his head. He's just all white, suited out, and he's really cool. I really like that character. I really hope we get to see him in this series. And then last but not least, we have Moon Knight, which is obviously the main vigilante character. He's just a badass. I mean, the trailers say it all. All you need to do is watch any of the 2 trailers and Moon Knight is badass. Or just look at any of the comic art. You don't even need to read any of the comics. Just look at the comic art and you'll know how much of a badass he is. Obviously, these first comics of his first came out around the time when Batman was really big. So I think this was Marvel's way of trying to rival Batman. Obviously, Moon Knight's nowhere near as big as Batman, but I think this is the closest Marvel are ever going to get to dark, or the darkest it's ever been so far. In the MCU, that is, obviously, because the Marvel comic can get really dark at times, but I think with the introduction of Moon Knight to the MCU, I think this will be the darkest we've seen in the MCU. And even with Multiverse of Madness coming up, we're going to be getting quite a lot of dark stuff coming out in the coming years, because obviously we've got Blade coming up as well, which is a vampire. So we've got Black Knight. Hopefully those 3 will have a team up, Moon Knight, Black Knight, and Blade, because they do in the comics. Now, if you've been trying to learn anything about Moon Knight recently, I'm sure you've heard the character Konshu come up a lot. That is the correct pronunciation, by the way. It's Konshu, if you ever wondered. Konshu is basically an ancient elder god that goes back before Earth was even a thing. Now you're probably wondering, why does this random ancient Egyptian character got anything to do with Moon Knight? Well, the reason he's important to this storyline is he is the person who resurrected Mark Spector from the dead and blessed him with the abilities under the moon. Now, as far as power sets go, Moon Knight isn't actually a character who has set abilities, so say. He's really just an incredible fighter, but in recent runs of comics, it has been said that depending on the cycle of the moon, his strength, speed, and even endurance will increase or decrease depending on the structure of the moon. I would just really quickly like to talk about the 2020 comic book run of Moon Knight, which I am currently reading. I'm really enjoying it. I've currently got the 3rd and 4th issues on the way. The first 2 issues so far I've really enjoyed. I really liked issue 2. If you haven't read any of the 2021 comic run of Moon Knight, I really recommend it. It's a lot of fun and really cool comic book art. So what are you going to expect from this series? Well, this series is going to be a lot darker than anything you've seen in the MCU before. We're going to be seeing a lot of different things like the Egyptian history, or just like CG characters you would not have seen in the MCU before, like some Egyptian gods, etc., like Konshu, which we have seen in the trailers. If you want to go through the trailers slowly and pick him out, he's literally just a skeleton floating on a body. It looks incredible, and I just can't wait to see this. One thing I would like the show to do, which I think they will do, is I want us, the audience, to be confused with Stephen Grant. So I want there to be some points where you're seeing everything from Stephen's and then they don't show it cut to Mark. You just wake up as Stephen Grant and you're confused as well. You're like, what the hell's going on? Because I feel like for audience members that don't know much about Moon Knight, I feel like that would be really cool to do, and it would just be a cool insight, because then you know how every single character's feeling. So I would really like to see that. I think Moon Knight overall, after this Disney Plus show has come out, I think he's going to be a character that's going to be heavily loved by MCU fans that do not know the character currently. It's just, I feel like everyone's ready now for darker versions of characters. Like, even if we go to the Spider-Man, like Andrew Garfield, everyone wants Andrew Garfield back now. And he played a dark version of Spider-Man. I don't think people were ready back then for a darker story of Spider-Man, but I think people are now. And I'm just really excited to see it, and I hope this show does really well, because if it does, we're going to hopefully get even more darker stories from the MCU. Obviously, it's not going to be incredibly dark because it's run by Disney, but they're going to be pushing the line, and I can't wait for it. I'm going to leave this video here. This is the first time I've done a video like this, talking about a specific character. The other things, I've only posted 2 other videos on my channel, which were reviews on the Eternals and ranking all the projects that came out in 2021 from the MCU. So if you guys want to go support me and go like and watch those videos, that would mean so much to me. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Please like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.